Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Session Zero. This time we have Aeneas Demos, and he and his sire are going before the prince um, 5 years ago, shortly after the Sabbat War, and they are going to be given the official word on their assignment for the clan that they are to answer to as part of the Camarilla. And Aeneas and Briseas wait in the lobby of the Hotel del Coronado on Coronado Island to be called to come meet with the prince. And
Well, Ananias is kind of nervously kind of sitting down. He's kind of tracing his hands, kind of looking quite nervous as they've literally, him and Perseus have they've just kind of jumped ship really, and he's only known one group, and that's all he's known in his life. And there's only one person he trusts more than anything, and that is the woman standing right next to him as he kind of looks more scared than anything else, that he's just frightened, and he's kind of looking up to her, kind of unsure of what's going to happen really, but he trusts her more than anything. He kind of reaches down and kind of just looks out for her hand.
Briseas will give him a reassuring look and a smile as she takes his hand. Everything will be all right, my dear.
Just, are we making the right decision by, betraying everyone?
See, we are making the right decision. I would never lead you astray, my child.
Okay. Guess we're going to have to be nice to people from now on then. I mean, no more late nights at the beach. He kind of has a little wicked little smile.
Well, just maybe have to keep those late nights a little bit more quiet.
Of what you were teaching me about darkness and all that. What do we do about that?
I don't know if that's a question for our dear prince on what she wants us to do about that. Whether we can use it openly or not. I think that's up to her.
Yeah. Yes. Well, as long as I have you with me, I'll be safe. He kind of squeezes the hand kind of reassuredly.
She squeezes his hand back and don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. You'll always have me.
I still get to keep the nut right. I know how you like to dance.
She just smiles at him and then she wraps him in a hug.
He lingers onto that embrace and kind of just like runs his hands along her shoulders and kind of just, it's very sort of very, I would say, sort of like a son holding a mother type of thing, just squeezing very tightly, almost like longingly.
And as they are finishing their embrace, a woman with a scowl on her face approaches them. Break it up, you two.
I'm sorry. Who are you? And Aeneas kind of stands protectively in front of Briseis.
You're here to see Jasmine, are you not?
Yeah.
Come with me.
He looks kind of back at Briseis and then takes her hand and sort of very almost kind of like old style kind of loops it in his and kind of just onwards then, my my lady, as he kind of starts to stride after this very agitated looking woman.
She just scowls at him as she leads him and Briseis to the elevator. Um, they go up a few floors, and uh, Harley is silent through the elevator ride unless anyone decides to speak to her.
Ananias kind of looks over, kind of looks one look to Briseis and one look to this woman and goes, "So you are."
Harley.
It's a pleasure to meet you. He kind of does a little kind of bow, kind of not kissing ass, just kind of respectfully, kind of just inclining his head.
She gives a little nod.
Are you the sheriff? Or.
No, I ain't the fucking sheriff.
Oh. So.
I'm more dangerous than that.
And I kind of smile. I like that. That's much more fitting.
She doesn't smile, but inside her head she's thinking, yeah, you better. She doesn't say anything as then the elevator dings and the door opens. She just hurries down the hall, not even waiting to see if they're following her.
Yeah, and I just kind of quickly follow. He's like, "Oh crap, we better keep moving." He's kind of like almost half running, kind of quick after this person.
And Briseis just kind of leisurely walks along behind. She's clearly not really impressed by any of this. And Harley knocks on the door to the room and is greeted. She's greeted by a African American man. He recognizes Harley and holds the door open. And Harley ushers Briseis and Aeneas into the room. It was a pretty big hotel suite. There's a bed and a desk, and in front of the desk area there's a couch, a black leather couch, and behind the desk is a big oversized chair. Almost looks throne-like. Probably about what you would expect for the prince's room to look like. But the room's probably about the size of a studio apartment. It's quite large. And the man instructs Aeneas and Briseis to sit down on the couch while they await the arrival of the prince.
Ananias does. He kind of just sits down, kind of unsure, kind of looking at Briseis and kind of whispers into each other. The Archbishop's room was much bigger. He has a little smirk on his face.
She gives a smirk, but then she kind of slaps his mouth. Don't say that. Can't say stuff like that.
He kind of does this kind of mocking, wounded expression and kind of like pretends to meekly bow his head to her, then kind of going, "Only in private."
Yes, and this is definitely not private.
I couldn't resist. He kind of looks around, kind of fiddling with one of the idol glasses. He kind of is more. Briseis can tell he's impatient. He kind of just wants to get this over with, as he seems quite Flustered would be the word.
Briseas puts a reassuring arm around Aeneas' shoulder.
Just wish that they would get this over with. After all, we need that protection.
We're on their schedule, not ours.
Unfortunately, that'll change. So, he has this kind of cold kind of stare as he kind of smiles at Perseus. That'll change soon.
We'll see.
He kind of just sits, kind of waiting, gripping onto Perseus' hand, kind of quite protectively, but also reassuringly.
And as he's doing that, a Nubian woman walks out into the room from. You don't know what the room is that she was walking out of, but she suddenly appears and walks into the room, not from the front door, but from a different door. And she has on an elegant gown, lots of jewelry, and she steps in front of Aeneas. Prince Jasmine, you must be Aeneas. And
He
she holds out her hand.
immediately kind of rises and takes her hand kind of very softly. It is an honor.
And you must be Briseas, as she looks at Briseas. Yes, I am. And Briseas gives a big smile to Prince Jasmine and holds out her hand as well. Jasmine takes it and shakes it and then sits down in her chair. You look nervous, Aeneas.
With respect, my prince. The words taste familiar in his mouth as it is, well, considering myself and my sire's backgrounds, it's just a mild paranoia, forgive me. He kind of bows.
It's quite all right. There's no need for all this formality. You and your sire have done a lot in helping the Camarilla establish themselves in the city. And I want to reward you by allowing you to remain in the city in good standing. To do that, I need to assign you to a clan.
Oh,
You cannot be standalone. You have to answer to a Camarilla clan.
that is. He kind of turns to Perseus, kind of waiting for her to answer. Really, he's not kind of not sure.
Briseas just smiles and nods at him, as if to say it's okay. This is what we want.
That is acceptable. Which clan have you decided for us to join?
Well, I had originally thought of Ventru, as there are many similarities between your clan and them. But after some consideration, I think that you and your sire might do better in Clan Toreador.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, Aeneas kind of smiles, kind of at Jasmine, kind of warmly.
So you will answer to the primogen and whip of that clan. Hopefully, everything will go well. The primogen's name is Eddie Morales, and the whip's name is Clyde Barnes.
Okay. Okay. What if I don't mean to bring up an unfortunate topic, but what if you know of our clan's abilities? What
I
are
do.
we to do to keep in accordance to your law?
You are not to use obtenebration unless I decree it is necessary.
Mm, what would be necessary?
In a fight against our enemies, but you do not use it against other kindred in the city.
And he just kind of bites his lip and kind of just bows. It will be done.
And Briseas also agrees to that as well. Do you have any more questions?
What of my nightclub Dionysus? Am I still granted ownership?
Yes, that is yours. And if you prove yourself, I may grant a domain one day.
That would be wondrous, my prince. I thank you for giving myself and my sire protection.
Continue to support me and the Camarilla, and you will have all the protection you need. The information you and your sire have given is much appreciated.
Do you
And I
need
know
us?
that was not an easy decision for you to make.
No. Do you need us to be that hub for you in the Camarilla? Acquire secrets of that, report to you or your sheriff?
If you
Should I?
can, yes, might help us keep tabs on the Sabbats still outside of the city. If you and your sire are still on friendly terms with some of them, any information you can get would be most useful.
Will be done. Alright, thanks.
Anything else?
Who is the sheriff? I'm eager to come under his employ. I'm quite useful in terms of getting jobs done.
That is good to know. I will let him know that you are willing to do such things. His name is Crusher. He is Bruja just like me.
Bruh. He smiles and I've never met Bruja before. Interesting.
Jasmine smiles. Depending on where you go, we have quite a reputation. There's not very many Bruja that actually rule cities these nights. I'm fortunate to be one of them.
Well, I heard your people were quite powerful. I'm glad to see it still represented. He kind of smiles nervously.
Yes, we are very prevalent in this city. There are a lot of us. But I want all of us in this city to stand together as Camarilla. I know that I can't keep all conflict from happening between the clans, but I'd like to minimize it, which is why I'm putting you under protection of a clan with the Camarilla.
Oh, understood, my prince. He kind of squeezes Briseis' hand, almost kind of in delight.
Briseis gives a squeeze back and smiles. Gracias, my prince. And Briseis gives a little bit of a bow. De nada, Briseis. And she looks at Briseis and then again at Aeneas. You are dismissed. Don't disappoint me and make me regret my decision.
Understood. He
And
does very. Oh, sorry. You go first.
she smiles and she stands up and leaves the room, um, allowing
Oh, yeah,
them
no,
to escort themselves out.
before she leaves, he does this very bow, which would be reminiscent of like the French court and like the court hall of mirrors, just very formal, and then kind of turns quickly, kind of gripping onto Perseus, like let's get the fuck out of here, and kind of walking out the door. I think I froze. I did. Oh, there I am. I think I lagged
There
out a
you
bit.
are.
Yeah, I froze a bit. I'm back. And
Okay,
it's just.
okay. So Aeneas did what?
He bowed very low, kind of like in his very traditional kind of French court style, like very low, almost like, and then kind of just walked out, then kind of very, very fancily.
As he was doing that, Prince Jasmine was already on her way out. She kind of acknowledged what he was doing, but didn't make a big show of it. She's really not one for extreme formality, and she left the room probably before he made his little strut. Briseis just kind of laughs at him and follows him out of the room.
He kind of, as they're walking out, he kind of whispers into her ear, I thought they were supposed to be queens and princes and all that, so I should know the
Yeah,
etiquette thing.
she's different.
Ah, okay. On your sleeves. Raw. Kind of looks around, kind of sniffing the air, kind of like, I'm used to this. Freedom.
Yes, it will take some getting used to.
Well, where to next?
Well, why don't we just head home? We will present ourselves to the Toreador tomorrow night.
Home? He kind of has a little bit of a smile. Or are we venturing for a while? Food?
I suppose we can make a stop at your club first.
Excellent. As he kind of has this very satisfied smile, then kind of like kisses her hand very softly, then and then starts to walk towards the elevator.
And Briseis joins him on the elevator. And as you were walking out of the room, you got a scowl from Harley as usual. And she didn't follow you out. She shut and locked the door behind you. And they go down the elevator and they leave the hotel and go back to Briseis' car where they drive over to Club Dionysus.
Is he, as you're driving, he kind of is looking at the window, kind of touching his fingers along the glass. He goes, "You know, I met this little Australian girl the other night. Quite loud. She might be an interesting little plaything." He kind of looks over at Perseus with a little smirk.
Oh, did you get her name?
Ruby, Jasmine, something revolving a precious stone, I think.
Well, Jasmine is the name of the prince.
Hmm. Maybe it was Ruby. She was quite, well, free spirited. As he kind of smiles to himself. She might be an interesting little playmate if you're into that sort of thing.
See, I might be. Well, I'll have to meet her first. But Australian, you say?
Yes, quite a distinctive accent. She kept, well, as you notice, he kind of clenches and almost the kind of the seat. Well, I don't like the way she says my name, but she'll learn.
I'm sure she will.
He kind of has, I'm assuming he kind of just leans back then in the seat then and kind of just looks more relaxed since they left the prince's office.
And Briseas is glad to see him relaxing. Um, and a little while goes by, maybe about 10 minutes, um, before she pulls up to the club. Uh, it's a weeknight, so it's not too busy. They managed to find parking relatively close. They don't have to walk too far.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And
and nice holds the door open for Perseus, bowing as he customarily does for her, always.
she'll walk into the club, and why don't you tell us what we see?
Well, what you'll see is you pass by this big guy named Ulrich, who is one of the Ananias' little herd, as he kind of nods quite quickly. As Ananias just kind of breezes past, there's a few girls who scream his name at him, wanting to be let in, but he's with Perseus tonight, he's not interested in that sort of thing. And when you walk into Club Dionysus, you're going to see a big wide room, bright colors, but there's no mirrors. There's never mirrors in Dionysus. After all, why would you want to look at yourself when you're having so much fun? As it's very round. The bar is kind of just there. There's kind of an upstairs, more of a sort of a private room where, well, as Ananias puts it, where all your desires can come to fruition. But that's only if that's VIP. As it's a weeknight, so Celine, the dancer, she's doing her regular kind of club rounds and dancing around and not really doing much, but it's not as packed as it usually is, and it's kind of just your very eccentric, very lively, and a lot of house music playing. Always the live wire. As kind of Ananias kind of just stands in the middle of the club, kind of looking quite satisfied that he owns this still, as this is his pride and joy, and this is his hub of, well, secrets, pleasures, and other little delights. As he kind of turns to Perseus, as she notices a definite change the moment he's in this club. It's back to his old self again as he turns, kind of spinning her into his arms, just right into there like that, kind of going, well, who knows, I might get this as domain.
If you play your cards right.
Always have. That's why you chose me, remember?
See, I do remember.
Shall we dance, my lady? As he kisses all the way up her arm, sort of like very kind of Gomez, that type of thing.
She smiles and joins him for a dance.
Okay, so Extra
You don't need
performance.
to. You
Oh, I
don't
don't
need
need
to.
to roll.
You don't need to
Okay.
roll anything. This is just role play.
I'd say he is quite good at dancing, quite fluid. Very almost like a water kind of just dancing in. But he also is very concentrated on her. Like she is his focal point. Every move he makes is played off her reaction.
Well, she takes his lead and mimics the fluid movements as they've danced this dance before. She is focused intently on him as well. She makes eye contact and kind of locks her eyes onto his as they dance.
Oh yeah, eventually the dancing gets much more intimate as he reaches up and kind of just nestles into her hair. Kind of to him, she's more than just a sire. She's his mother. She's his sister. She's also his lover at the same time. He is totally obsessed with her as he kind of traces along her arms and kind of just smiles at her one way and just kind of whispers into her ear, "I'm glad you're safe with me here."
She smiles. I'm also glad you're safe with me here.
Well, shall we get food, or are you done for the night, my darling?
You go ahead. I'll wait for you in the private room.
Shall I bring her to you? Show what a real queen looks like.
See.
He kind of bows very low and kind of begins to slink his way through the crowd, kind of spying at the first well, what she would determine herself beautiful, but in his mind nothing is more beautiful than Briseas as he kind of cocks his head at her in this kind of very confident stare as he is, incredibly, incredibly good looking and sort of very pale as he kind of just approaches her a bit. And will I roll for this or no, 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 okay. He kind of just approaches her a bit then and kind of just gracefully leans in against her neck and just starts, dancing with her, kind of playing with her, and he eventually goes, "Do you know who I am, my dear?"
Why, no, I don't know who you are.
Do you not recognize the name on the door? Over there, as he points to a picture of himself opening the nightclub.
Oh, well, I must have missed it.
It's okay. I've been watching you dance, and you're quite good. You dance well with me.
She blushes and she'll accept his offer for a dance.
He dances a storm with her, and then whispers into her, "Would you like to come upstairs to one of the privater rooms and meet a real queen? My queen?" I was wondering, could
Your
you imagine
queen.
it? I was
You mean,
wondering,
you actually
since
have a
you,
queen?
well, I have an open audition for one. I was wondering if you would be so inclined to try out for the part.
Well, that is quite an unusual offer, but oh, what the hell. Why not? I'm here to have fun.
He kind of reaches right up into her so she can almost kind of feel him there as he whispers into her ear. "I'll give you more than fun, my dear. Play your cards right, and you'll have all the fun, pleasures you so desire."
Ooh, that sounds kinky.
Only if you want it to be. He winks as he's leading her upstairs.
She follows along behind him quite excitedly.
He opened the private rooms are very kind of darkened. It's very sort of reminiscent of what clan they are. It's very kind of darkish, and There's different types of pleasurable rooms, if you get what I mean. There is, if you are into the pain, if you are into the joy, there are those type of rooms. But for Perseus, he has reserved his private room, his room, that is almost nearly darkened when you step into it. But it's full of erotic, Greek, sort of Egyptian style type photos. It's very sort of reminiscent of his culture and what Perseus has taught him, and his obsession of power residing in ancient things. As he kind of gently opens the door and kind of bows low to his prize. Go in, my dear. You can, well, have all the pleasures you desire with me. He has this little smirk on his face.
It's really dark in there.
Oh, don't worry. It's only a bit of dark, after all. He kind of leans right in. Shadows are your friend in my nightclub.
Well, okay. She nervously steps into the dark room.
As he closes the door, and you can hear him in voice going, I present a queen. And you know, Briseis will know that tone. He's being very sarcastic. But to the girl, he is bathing her in affection. You know, Briseis knows his kind of tone by that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, it is I, Queen Briseis. And the woman giggles nervously, not exactly sure what to make of it. She kind of goes with it and bows before Briseis, thinking that this is some sort of role play.
Ananias kind of leans against one of the desks and kind of just smirks at her. Well, my dear. He kind of just smiles wickedly at Perseus. Are you afraid?
Should I be?
Do you want to be?
Well, I don't know.
As he kind of just leans right in and he kind of nods at Perseus, and the girl will feel kind of a slight pinch. Ananias' fangs clicking into her wrist. But in the dark, it's just like he's biting her, like just nibbling at her.
She winces, but not really in pain, but almost in pleasure at the bite. And Briseis will join in and take her other wrist and sink her fangs in as well.
As eventually he kind of leans up as he takes two off her. And she's kind of throwing in the ecstasies of the kiss. His voice seems to resonate in her. Sleep, my dear. When you wake, you'll see darkness, and that'll be the most reassuring thing.
Briseis drinks from her, and when she's finished, she keeps her fangs out and looks lustfully at Aeneas. Blood still dripping from her fangs and lined around her lips.
He kind of looks almost kind of timidly, like that kind of prowess that was there, kind of almost as a lost among Perseus, kind of looks at him. His fangs are still out, but he almost kind of looks timidly kind of against the wall.
And Briseis sees this, and almost like a predator studying her prey, she pounces on him and begins to kiss him quite roughly.
Or he enjoys this and he kind of reciprocates, but it's kind of, he's allowing her to take charge. After all, she is the queen in his eyes, and he is just nothing but her subject. and he is allowing her to have all the carnal pleasures of him possible.
Aeneas will notice that it's not just her hands that are uh, rubbing up and down his body. She's got tentacles on him as well, and they are groping in places where, of course, her hands aren't.
Ananias knows this feeling and is quite aroused by it, but he is waiting. In the back of his mind, he is waiting for the day that he can do this, which will surprise her to all extent. But as she's doing this, he himself does his own thing, as he will just manipulate the shadows just a tiny bit, just spending that little bit of blood to play with them, just to make that room darker and darker. Now this woman will pass out, but for Ananias and Perseus, this is home. He kind of cocks his head at her then. I say we, as she bites, probably is nibbling at him.
Mm.
We learn up to integration all we want. Maybe that stuff you're talking about, mysticism to me. In private, like it's meant to be. Intimate.
See, my dear, I will teach you. Just can't use it unless we're allowed to. But I have always planned on teaching you.
Yes. Good. I want to learn so much. Is he kind of oddly changing from this timid form? He kind of grabs her dress and just rips. Kind of that little bit of potence, just adding an extra bit of force to it, like ripping open kind of the chest area of her dress.
You're gonna have to buy me another new dress.
Don't I buy you always the prettiest things, my love?
See, you do. You take good care of me.
Well, maybe I'll play some more violin for you later. When we're home.
I'd like that. But for now, I just want you.
Yeah, Ananias kind of just allows her just to have her way with him, kind of have her wicked ways. He's not disputing this in the slightest. Just take me.
And have her way she does. And that goes on for quite some time as they both have quite a bit of stamina having done this before. And after that, they retreat back to their haven. And that is where this session will end.